Hello, wildlings. I'm your Creepsmith, and you found my Fear Forge. Lucky you. Welcome back, wildlings. Today's continuing tale, I Took a Factory Job, Part 3, The Spot on the Wall, by Mr. Outlaw. I've been trying to contact Chad, but it's been hell trying to do so. I haven't been seeing him around at work at all. Apparently Sergio hasn't seen him since the second week. If he quit, well, that's understandable, but I decided to ask Winston about it anyway. His response was unexpected. Chad? I've never seen a Chad here before. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. He claimed that he had never even hired a man named Chad, but he did. I know this. Sergio knows this. I can't understand why he would lie about something like that. Well, actually, I do. There's an obvious answer here, but I don't like to entertain that possibility. In any case, it seems as if trying to contact Chad will only yield dead ends. I don't know his phone number or anything, so fuck it. There's more interesting avenues to explore here. You remember that woman who kept staring at the wall? Well, it happened again. This time, it happened with an older man. I remember driving around, and when I saw him, motionless, eyes transfixed on nothing obvious, he was in the exact same spot where the woman had been. So I decided to look into it myself. This was about 1:30 a.m., 30 minutes before my shift was supposed to end. It was pretty slow, so I walked over to the wall he was staring at and tried to figure out what the hell was going on here. Trying to be discreet as possible, I looked and felt around the wall trying to find something that was in any way anomalous. At first, I couldn't fathom what they could have been staring at. I mean, it was just a damn wall, but eventually I figured it out. There was a small spot, tiny, that was a different shade of white than the rest of the wall. At first, I thought it might have been a stain of some sort. I crouched down in an attempt to observe it better, and that's when I realized that it looked almost shiny. It's hard to explain. I hesitated for a moment before I felt it with my thumb. I can't even begin to describe the texture. It was slimy and hard and rubbery all at the same time, and in addition to all of that, my thumb began to feel like it was burning. I almost felt as if some caustic substance was eating away at my skin, so instinctively I looked down at the thumb expecting something horrendous, but inexplicably it looked fine. In fact, the pain had even subsided. I looked back at the spot on the wall, but it was gone. Instead, it was replaced with something else. A black spot now. But no, not quite a spot. It was a hole. So, hesitantly, idiot that I am, I put my finger through it, before quickly pulling it back out, confirming this. What the hell had I just touched? I got up and turned around, coming to the disturbing realization that all of the assembly line workers were now staring at me. It made sense. Everything had become quiet a while ago, but I was too distracted to think anything of it. So I decided that it was a good day to leave early. I had a feeling Winston wouldn't have cared. When I came in that next day, I tried to lay as low as possible, in an attempt to pretend that yesterday's events had never happened. It seemed to work. I did my rounds without doing so much as glancing over at the wall. Everything seemed all right. This was around 3 a.m. and I was having a smoke break outside. I made sure to watch out for any figures standing in the cornfields beforehand. Now, eventually, another guy came out and introduced himself as Matt. I was a bit jarred by this. None of my other coworkers had even talked to me at that point, except for Sergio and Chad. The conversation started out normal enough. We talked mundane shit like the weather and what we ate for lunch, but then he dropped the bomb on me. I saw you go up to the wall. Was it there? Was what there? I asked in response. The thing. He just stares at me as if that answer was supposed to be, enough. But I suppose that what he was talking about was fairly obvious. Yeah, it was there. I even touched it. So, what is it exactly? It's the way out of here, he tells me. I've been here for 34 years. The expression on his face as he says this is beyond disturbing. This makes zero sense. He doesn't look older than 30. I was not prepared for what happened next. So, Matt storms back into the factory and I follow along. He disappears into a room near the back before coming out with a sledgehammer. And before I know it, he's hammering away at that wall, putting absolute effort into every single swing. It isn't long before they come out, what I can only assume was the security force that Sergio had been talking about. Two men in security gear, both looking to be at least 6'6", probably taller, rush down from the second floor, tackling Matt to the ground. As they drag him away to an unknown location, I can hear him screaming out, "Let me go! Let me out of here!" And just like that, they were gone, all of them. I looked back down at the damaged wall, and through the cracks, I can see something moving around in there, but I have no idea what it is. A few moments later, Winston arrives, announcing that everybody is to go home early. But that was weird. Nobody moved or even reacted at all as he said it. They all just stared at me. Eventually, this feeling of nauseating discomfort overtook my initial shock, and I felt my mind starting to regain its bearings. So I forced my legs to make their way toward the exit, and once outside, I started immediately making a beeline towards my car. But at that point, I wasn't sure whether or not I would ever be coming back. Matt's words kept replaying in my head. I've been here for 34 years. It sent chills down my spine. Suddenly, going back to school didn't seem so bad. However, as I looked up, I nearly had a heart attack. Someone was standing on the hood of my car. I don't know why I hadn't noticed this at first as I came out of the building. Actually, I was pretty sure that there was no one there. I came to a stop about 30 meters from the vehicle. Since it was dark, making out details proved to be a difficult task, but then the figure shifted slightly, allowing the moonlight to illuminate its features. Oh, shit, I thought. It was the fucking suit. It started walking toward me, almost floating off of the hood. As it got closer, it sounded as if it were talking, but not coherently, and certainly not in English. It was essentially just a rapid, low-pitched muffle. I flipped shit and started running the other way, and as soon as I did, I saw Winston storm out of the factory and begin sprinting towards me, holding a shotgun. At that moment, I thought I was fucked. As he got closer, Winston raised the weapon and fired off both rounds. I closed my eyes for a second, preparing myself for the impact, but it never came. Instead, the low-pitched muffle just got louder. Once my eyes were open again, I turned around to see Winston lunging at the suit, who now had some kind of black substance leaking out of its chest where the rounds had presumably hit. As soon as I saw Winston throw the first punch, I scrammed. I started legging it out of there away from the sounds of the confrontation. As I got into and started my car, I took a peek through the rear view, watching as the suit crushed one of Winston's tree trunk arms. I suppose that I felt kind of bad for flooring it out of there, but I couldn't have helped at that moment. I drove for about 5 minutes down the road before stopping and dialing 911. I mean, I had to do something. I just told them that someone was being murdered at the factory address. I got home and started pacing around my apartment. Christ almighty, what the fuck just happened? I picked up the phone again and called Sergio, asking him when his next shift was. In 20 minutes was his response. I'm driving there right now. Look, you need to stop and turn the fuck around. What the hell? He interrupts me. I can hear police sirens and some kind of inhuman roar as his phone cuts off. It's only been about 30 minutes since that happened. I've locked my doors, barricaded my windows. I've got my Glock, but I have a feeling that won't be very effective. But there's no way the suit knows where I live, right? Update. Somebody just knocked on my door. He says it's Chad. Okay, so maybe I lied last time. Maybe a little bit like life, the mysteries just keep piling up and we don't get any answers. In any case, stay scary, my wildlings. Make the most of your nights.